What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we went out and bought some meat. We went to Sam's Club and I was searching for some meat that was with very little fat because we're going to be freeze drying some meat today for long-term storage. So I found these, what are these? These are bottom round roast. They're cheap enough. They're like $4.98 a pound. And by mistake, I picked up this one. This one is a beef stew meat here, but it doesn't matter. It's meat. that's my main concern, and it's lean. Has to be lean for a freeze drying because fat does not freeze dry, and your meat will spoil quickly if it's fatty. So it has to be very lean meat. And there's something else I want to announce, that the Cube freeze dryer has a new model. Well, it's actually not a new model. It's the same freeze dryer, but rather than having the internal oil pump, now it's got an external oil pump, and you can pick one up for a lot cheaper. In fact, they have it on right now for I think it's $29.95. So if you really wanted to get a Cube freeze dryer, you can get one. They have it now in the model like this, black, and they have it in stainless steel. Also, for the shelves inside, they have a 5-shelf unit you can buy, and it'll go right in. You can plug it in, and it'll fit right in there, and you'll have 5 trays rather than 4 originally. And yeah, so $29.95 for a Cube freeze dryer with an external oil pump, vacuum pump, but it's oil. It's not a oilless pump, put it that way. That's a pretty good deal. And look, I've been using this thing for, well, it's been well over a year now. Beautiful, runs great. I haven't any problems with it. It's just it's a higher quality freeze dryer. That's why they're so expensive. So if you want to consider getting one, I'm going to put a link in the description under the video where it'll bring you right to their website and right to the models there. All right. Okay. So what we have here is, well, actually 3 of them are bottom round roast, and this one here is a beef stew meat. Picked it up by mistake. I just started grabbing them. I thought they were all bottom round steak, but it's okay. This is a little bit more expensive. It's $5.74 a pound. No big deal, but it's very lean, and it'll work just fine. All right, so what I'm going to do here, guys, is we're going to cut these up, get some of this extra fat off of there that I can take off, and I think I'm going to cut them in half for the freeze dryer. So let's do that and get this thing started here. So before we get started here, I want to introduce you to my little friend here. This and this here. These are my 2 new friends. This is a 10-inch breaking knife, and it is made out of premium high-carbon German steel. This puppy is so sharp, it is beyond belief, okay? You don't play around with these things. Less chance of you getting cut with these because it is very sharp. This here is a 6-inch boning knife. Great for what I'm going to be doing now, taking some extra fat off and stuff. This knife set here, I picked up on Amazon. I'm going to put a link. It's an affiliate link down below. If you want to use the link to pick some of these up, it'll help us out a little bit here, but it won't cost you anything. Super good quality. As you can see, it's all wooden handle. Beautiful quality. I mean, this is unbelievable. This has to be the sharpest knife set I've ever had. All right, so we're going to get started with this big hunk of meat here. The only thing I may have to take off is some of this fat in here on the top here. I am no professional here, people. But it really helps out with a sharp knife. Seems to be like a little vein running through here. Okay, I guess that's good enough for now. Now, what we're going to be cooking this in a pressure cooker. Now, since this is going to be a carnivore recipe, I'm not going to be using any spices and things like that. If you want to marinate this stuff, you know, do what you want with it. But for us, we're going to leave it very simple and nothing. Our sole purpose here is to freeze dry meat for emergency situations. And not to make it too complicated. Like I said, if you want to spice it up, you know, marinate it in whatever you like, and then cook it or whatever. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're just really trying to keep our diet very clean, free from plant-based stuff as much as possible. If you haven't heard me, my testimony basically on how sick I was for almost 18 years, being vegan and vegetarian, constantly with inflammation and depression and heart palpitations, PVCs, horrible. I was sick and I had like joint pains and tendons all killing me, and it was horrible. So we're just trying to avoid all the plant-based, anything that has to do with plants right now. So guys, I'd like to cut this like a steak, but I want to make the pieces smaller so they fit on the trays better. So I'm just going to cut this bad boy in half. Plus it'll cook easier. We're going to be using the pressure cooker to cook it. So I'm just going to cut these in half to make it smaller. Oh, these knives are beautiful. Cut right through that bad boy. Yeah, that's a little more manageable now. Now what we're going to be doing is cooking this probably just like this. We're going to be putting it in a electric pressure cooker. And once they're cooked, we're going to put them in our freeze drying trays, freeze them, and we're going to get that freeze dryer going. And we are going to make some emergency food for us in the future, in case whatever situation happens in the future, whether it's a hurricane, whether power outages, whatever it is, even the poop hits the fan situation, you'll have food. And I want to make it. I'm going to explain to you in a minute why we're doing it this way. Okay, I want to make it. I might as well just tell you now. The reason why I'm cooking it this way is with no spices, no nothing, and we're going to cook it first and then freeze dry it, so it's in the future. If something happens and you have nothing else to eat, you can rip one of these packages open, and as long as you have water with you, you'll be able to eat this because it's cooked. Even if it's 5, 10, 20 years down the road, you'll be able to eat this, even though it's going to be crunchy. but at least you'll have something to eat, and then have a little water, of course, as you're eating and drinking. Because there are situations where, you know, towns get wiped out or whatever, and there's no electricity, there's nowhere to go to get food. You'll have something to eat. That's the important thing. It doesn't have to be fancy. As long as you got something to eat, that's the main thing. This way, you don't, because if we freeze dried this raw, and then in the future try to, you know, rehydrate it and then cook it, you might not have that convenience to be cooking and rehydrating. So it's best to cook this now, and in the future, all you have is a bottle of water. Well, at least you'll have some food to munch on. Even though it's going to be freeze-dried and crunchy, you have water to drink to, you know, it'll soften up in your stomach and all that. But it's food. That's the main important thing. Now, in the future, if you do have the luxury of having water and stuff, and you can cook it or warm it up, really, it's all you need. Yeah, you can, you know, put it in some water. It'll reconstitute, and or hot water for that matter. Just put it in some boiling water, and that's it. It'll reconstitute, and you're good to go. You can start eating. So, anyways, guys, we're gonna put these in here. Once I open these up. And let me tell you, these knives are incredibly, incredibly sharp. So I would definitely recommend them. I'm just not a professional butcher here, so I don't do things very, very well. All right, guys, so let me get this cleaned up here. We're going to cut them up and put them in here, and get this pressure cooker going. Now, this pressure cooker is a, I think it's a 13 quart that we have. They don't sell them anymore. I can't find them anywhere. It's made by New Wave, and I can't find them anywhere, but an Instant Pot will work just fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Just that these are bigger, you know, and they'll hold more meat. But you cook it in whatever you have. Alrighty, guys, so I got the meat all cleaned up in here, and the best that I could. Most of the major fat is all off. A lot of that's going to come off also when we cook it. And we got this big old pile of fat here that we're going to save to use for the future use, and we can also put it in our dog's food. You know, that's what's funny about our dogs now. We put them on pure carnivore also. We used to put a little bit of cooked beans in their meat also, just as a filler, so we wouldn't have to buy as much meat. But they were eating twice a day, and they were always hungry, always starving, hungry. And I think that was the beans was making their blood sugar go up, and they were kind of putting on a little weight. But since we've put them strictly on carnivore, they started not eating their morning meals. They didn't want it anymore. And now we're giving them strictly chicken with as much fat we can put in there, and or beef. And same thing with a lot of fat in there. So this is going to help out a lot. Put some of that in there. But we've noticed that now they want to eat just one meal a day. So it works out great for us and great for them, because now they're more satiated, they're full for a longer period of time. So they're just down to one meal a day. Pretty cool. All right, guys, so we got the meat going here, or we got it in here. We're going to put it in our pressure cooker. We're going to put some water in here, maybe, I don't know, an inch or so at the bottom. Get this thing going and cooking, and then we're going to fill the trays up. Now, of course, guys, you can use beef bone broth for this. Nothing wrong with that. All right, we're going to put our lid on. Make sure it's sealed. And we are going to put it on meat for probably 45 minutes. Okay, 45 minutes and start. Alright guys, the 45 minutes is over and I let the pressure out also. I guess I'm going to try one, let it drain a little bit here in this colander here in a bowl. I want to see, make sure it's cooked all the way through. I'm sure it is. There really wasn't much to drip. I guess I'll cut it this way. I think we're good. Perfect. Ever so slightly pink. Okay, I cut the rest of this piece up. They are approximately a 1/2 inch thick. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start taking the rest of them out of the pressure cooker there, and I'm going to start cutting them up. I'm going to start putting them in the trays here. I have a scale here and a little bowl. I was going to weigh everything, but I'm going to just put them on the trays to see how much meat I can get on there. What I didn't mention was the weight. This knife, I don't want it to fall on my foot. The total weight of the meat was just over 15 pounds. And the fat that I took off was exactly 2 pounds and like 4 ounces. So we're left with 13 pounds of meat, basically. So I'm going to put what I can. I'm trying to space them, trying to put them equally in each tray, basically. If we have any left over, great. If not, I'll just spread them out to, fill the trays out evenly. So, yeah, we'll just start doing that. We'll put them on the trays. Okay, so I'm out of meat. This is my last piece here. I got 1, 2, 3. I got one more to fill up here, but what I'm going to have to do is take a couple out of there and start filling the rest of these trays out, which is fine. Let me get this out of the way. So I just want the trays to be roughly equal. That's all. It doesn't have to be perfect. Freeze dryer will never know. And this last piece I'll cut in half. Okay. We got some, I found one piece had as I was cutting it, it had a chunk of fat on the inside. And I cut that out, and there's some little scrap pieces that were falling apart here. These, my dogs are going to love them. So yeah, it looks like what I'm going to have to do is take one out every other, let's see, every other one here. And just spread them apart more, that's all. Not a big deal. And you know what? Maybe I'll take one out of here and put it here. Not a big deal. Okay, so now these are going to go in the freezer. We got these tray stacker covers, basically. They act as a cover. And you can put them like this. They snap together and they stack really nice. You just keep stacking them. And like I said, we're going to put these in the freezer now. And tomorrow they should be frozen solid, and we're going to put them in the freeze dryer, and we're going to see how they come out. Okay guys, it's the next day. The food is frozen. We're going to get the cube freeze dryer started. We're going to flip on the switch back here. And now we're going to hit start. And we're going to check off frozen here because our food is frozen. And it's a drain closed, so we got to make sure our drain valve is closed. And we're going to hit yes. And of course, once the temperature reaches 30 degrees in the chamber, we can add our food. All right, the freeze dryer is telling us to add food to the freeze dryer. So our food here is frozen solid. All right, now that our food is loaded, we want to hit yes and start. All right, so the freeze dryer is going. We'll see how long it takes, and we'll see how it comes out when it's done. All right, so the freeze drying process is done. It took 22.5 hours, but it used up a lot of its extra time, so it probably actually only took 21 hours, roughly. Not too bad at all. So we're going to stop it now, and I'm going to put them in these Mylar bags, and I'm going to taste test a little piece of it and see how it come out. So now you want to hit check food. Now we want to open the drain valve and let the air back into the chamber. Doesn't weigh anything. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one piece up here. We're going to try it out. Yeah, that is dry. Yeah, very dry. They are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these away real quick off camera. Like I said, put them in these Mylar bags, and we'll be using 300cc oxygen absorbers in these bags here. And then I'm going to do a taste test with them dry, if I had to eat them dry. And we're going to reconstitute a little bit and see how it comes out. All right, so they're all sealed up now. All I got to do is write the date on here and the contents of it. Meat! All right, so I got this piece here. Let me get a little water. Okay. First of all, if I had to, in an emergency, can I eat this dry with some, like a glass of water or something, or a bottle of water? Mmm, so delicious and tender. No. Tastes like meat. but I need some water. Okay, could you do it? Just eat this with some water. It kind of powders up as soon as you put it in your mouth. Yeah, you could do it. Now we're going to take this piece, I'm going to reconstitute it in here. And we'll see how long that takes. And then try it out. It's already cooked meat. In an emergency, you just have to rip one of these open, stick it in some water, and then eat it. Okay, so this has been sitting in here for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to reach in here. I'm just going to use my hands. And we're going to taste this. Okay. Now it tastes more like meat. It's dry, of course, because the meat's lean. I probably could have let it soak another 5 minutes because there's some parts in the very center, it's still a little dry. As far as texture and everything, it goes back to regular meat. Doable. Yes, you could actually do this. In an emergency, open one of those packets up. If you have the luxury of heating up some water and heating it up, you know, we're letting it reconstitute in the hot water so you can eat a warm meal at least. Yeah, this is doable. This will work. Tastes just like it did when it was cooked. You know, when before I freeze dried it. Yeah, that'll work. Very doable. Now, like I said earlier, if you want to marinate this, give it some flavor, whatever, that's totally up to you. I'm doing this as a carnivore, and I'm trying to keep my diet clean just with meat and salt. And I didn't even add salt to this, which I could have, but I didn't. But just the same, it's good. Tastes just fine. It tastes just like regular meat was when I had it just cooked. And yeah, it would definitely work. So now I don't have to worry in the future. If we have nothing else to eat, open one of these up, even in some cold water like I just did. It reconstitutes in less than 10 minutes. And you got something to eat. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.